Hi, it's Trish here, and today we're going to work on the Heaven Sent Baby album that I made recently. And I have everything ready to put it together, so we're going to work on that today. If you want to or haven't seen the album, there is a preview album that I walk through what it looks like and what I've used in the album. And it's using the Prima Heaven Sent collection. So I've started with 2 pieces of cardstock, and because I need it so wide, I've joined the cardstock together with just a strip of score tape, and it holds it together just to put it, just to hold the 2 pieces together so that I can get the chipboard on for the album. I've put all the score tape on my chipboard already, and those are the front and back cover, and this is the spine. So I've made some lines as to where I've got a placement for my spine. So we're just going to leave this piece of score tape. I'm not going to take the backing off of that. So I'm going to remove, just to start with, I'm just going to remove 1 piece of score tape, and I'm going to line up my chipboard with my lines, so that I get it basically where I want it. See my lines here. Okay, and I put that down, and this will just hold it in place, just so that I can peel it back here just far enough so that I can remove the backing of the score tape off the chipboard. And if you want, you can put a little bit of glue on, but that should hold it well enough. And then stick it down the rest of the way. And if you want, you can turn it over and take your bone folder and burnish it in place. And that will adhere it really well to the chipboard. You can flip it back over. I'll get rid of my garbage off of my work surface. Now, with the when you go to put your front and back cover on, you want at least 1/8 of an inch or even more. Now what you can do is you can make yourself a shim by taking 2 pieces of chipboard and adhering them together, and that'll give you a pretty good size, a pretty good width shim for having enough space between your front and back cover and your spine, because what happens is you don't want them to bind, so you want enough room so that when you fold it, it's not going to either tear your paper or bind that your album won't close. So on these, I'm going to kind of eye it a little bit. And I don't know if you heard that, but that's my dog playing with the cat's empty can from their food. She thought maybe there might be something left in it. So I'm just going to use this and kind of eyeball it. Actually, I'll take a piece, a strip of score tape off. And if I come in on an angle, then I can, it's not sticking down, but it's giving me time to line up the top and the bottom. as well as getting my spacing for my spine to my cover. Now if you have a little bit more, I've got, you know, a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch there, kind of between 1/8 and 1/4, which is fine. Now the same as when I did my spine, now I can just peel it back gently, so now that, and it's held in place with the piece that of score tape that I removed already, and enough that I can take all the tape backing off. But this way I haven't stuck my chipboard down where I didn't want it, if I got it a little bit off, and then had a hard time removing it. So now I can stick it down and it's in place. I can turn it over and repeat that with the other side. So the same again, I'll take one piece of score tape backing off and come in on an angle so that I can line up the top and bottom edge and get my spacing to where I would like it. And that's pretty even, I think. So I'll put that down and make it stick, and then pull it over gently so that I can reach in and get my score tape backing off. I just find that this is the best and easiest way for me, so that I know that I've got it where I want it and not having a mistake that I have to potentially start again if I can't get the chipboard off of the cardstock. So there, now we've got it in place for starters, and I've got about 3/4 of an inch on the top and the bottom, and a little bit more than that on the sides for excess, so I can fold it over to the inside of the album. Now I've got my score tape already on my chipboard, and I will go around the edge as with score tape again on the paper, because when I fold it over, this tape might not catch the edge. So I like to put another line of score tape around, just to make sure that I've got good adhesion all the way along. And I'm going to trim off the corners, so I won't have to go all the way out to the edge. I'll cover it over a little bit, but I won't have to go right out to the corners. So I'm just going to go all the way around the cardstock. Like I say, I don't need to go all the way around or all the way out to the corners, because I'm going to trim those off. So I will skip right to the corner. And just go all the way around. And then we will miter the corners or trim the corners on a 45-degree angle. Just one more side to try to get most of this done so that you're not waiting and watching me just put score tape on everything. Now, when you trim your corners, you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch out from the edge of your corner on your paper. Now, I have a special tool that I can measure, and it's called the Perfect Trim. I think it's called the Perfect Trim Ruler, and I got it online, and I think you can still get it, and it's from the perfecttrimruler.com website. But you can also use your Tim Holtz ruler if you have a Tim Holtz ruler, the clear one. And if you use it on the metal side, you can kind of go on a 45-degree angle or approximately. And it's about 1/8 of an inch width. So it will work the same, and you can just draw your line and then trim it off with your scissors. Now this one, if I can see, this one has 4 different widths of chipboard. So depending on the width that you're using, you will know which angle to put your chipboard corner at. So I'm just going to go across like that. I'll draw my corners. And you can, I mean, if you feel comfortable enough to just trim it on your own, then you can do that as well. But if you cut it too close, then your chipboard is going to show when you fold over your corners. So you want to make sure that you leave enough so that you get a nice corner and it's all covered. I don't know if you can see, but I'll get up to the camera closer so you can see there's about 1/8 of an inch past the tip of the corner right there. Okay, so I'm going to trim my corners. Okay. So now we're going to gently fold or press down on, I'm going to turn my thing sideways here so it's got a little bit more width. So gently, with enough pressure, going to press down, and this is going to get the papers, the fibers of the papers to bend, so it's a lot easier and to fold them over. So then you can take your bone folder and guide your paper so that it's going to fold over and give it a nice crisp edge on your album. Like I say, this is training or bending the fibers of the paper so it's easier on your paper and it doesn't rip and tear. Okay, so next you want to peel off the backing of your score tape, and these ones on the side and up through the center, I just peel those back so far and just bend them over because I don't want them totally off, like completely pulled off yet. So I just pull them up and fold them over out of the way. And then we're gonna take the backing off the edge of the chipboard as well, or the cardstock as well. So once again, we'll just fold that over, and I'm gonna use my hand to push this over again, just so that I'm guiding it over, and then push it down into place. And that gets a nice clean edge on it. So then take your bone folder and burnish it down, and the edge, burnish it down into place. And that gives a nice clean edge on your album. So we're going to do the same on the other side. We're just going to fold the chipboard over so that it guides that paper, bending those fibers, and then use your bone folder to chip it down a little further and get it so that it's right up close to the chipboard, so it's nice and tight. Okay, and now I'm going to take my score tape backing off where I need it to come off completely, and then I'll peel these ones down the same as the other side. I don't want them completely off yet, especially on the spine. I'm not ready for that process yet. So we do the long sides, and take the backing off along your cardstock as well. And once again, I'm gonna folding this so that it's going over further, and then I'm going to press down all the way along. Okay, and then take your bone folder and burnish it down into place and along the edge so it's stuck down really well. Okay, that looks good. So now we're going to do the shorter ends. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold that over so that it gets it. I'm trying to keep it in camera here. Also, on the, I'll get up to the camera closer. I don't know if you can see these little spots here where it sticks out a little bit. We're going to use the bone folder, and we're going to push those in. Use the tip of your bone folder to fold it over and bend it in. On both sides, because you want it to fold over and in so that you get a nice crisp edge. I might actually trim a little bit more off of this side, just a little bit, because I got a little bit extra here. So I'm just going to take a little bit more off, just to get it so that it folds in a little bit more. Okay. So that's going to fold over nicely. So I'm going to take my score tape backing off on both again. And I'm going to use my bone folder and my hands. I'm going to keep pressing and guiding the paper. Okay. And see, that gives a nice corner for your album. So we're going to do the same with the other side. We're going to fold those little corner edge, those little bits of paper that are sticking out. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. See where I've kind of folded, make sure it gets focused here. There, I've folded the paper in. Just use the corner of my bone folder. You can use the tip of yours. If you don't have one with an edge like this one, you can just use the point, and you just kind of push it in, and then once again fold your chipboard over, bending the paper. The size of the chipboard that I'm using is a little bit different. I'm making the base for another album, so I'm using this as the tutorial. It will be the same as yours, it's just a different size. Just in case anybody was going, that's not the same size as mine. It's the same album base, it's just different size chipboards. So we're gonna fold these over and use your bone folder to burnish those down. When you burnish the paper, the cardstock, with the score tape on it, it heats up the glue which on the score tape, which binds it, adheres it to your chipboard or cardstock or whatever you're adhering it to, and it binds it. So the adhesion of the score tape is better than if you don't burnish it. So we're just going to go over that. Okay. So now what you can do is just use your fingers and kind of put them in the grooves of the spots between the front or back of your album to the spine, and we're just gonna gently, so if you use your fingers, it kind of indents the paper a little bit, so just gently fold that over, and we're just gonna guide the paper, and just the same as when we folded this over, it's going to I don't think I peeled the score tape backing off. I didn't. Or just 1 second. I saw that it wasn't sticking down very well. There we go. That looks better. There. Okay. So just the same as when we folded the chipboard over the cardstock to do the sides of the album, and we're bending those fibers of the paper so that it doesn't tear. You're kind of training it to where you want it to go, and you can use your bone folder to just lightly. Oh, just 1 second. I'll be right back.